Hi, it's Dwight again, your virtual host, coming to you from the Louvre in Paris. Don't I wish? It's my privilege to introduce another Australian Mountain Ranch artist who has contributed many times to our wonderful exhibitions that we have quarterly throughout the year, and that's Debra Goley. So welcome, Debra. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And you're from your own art studio. Wow.
Here it is.
Cool. Awesome. So why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about your background in art, just to get them acquainted if they don't know you that well yet.
All right. So I started way back. I was living actually before I moved overseas. I remember a 6th grade art teacher that said to me, hey, we have a school play coming up and one of the students can't be here for the photography shoot of all the kids in the play. Would you just draw us a picture of this little kid?
Well,
and I said, no, I'm scared. Why would I do that? What if he doesn't like what I draw? You know, what if I don't represent him well? And poor Patrick, well, I did him with the curly hair and they put him into the little program. And I guess that was the forerunner to Photoshop, right? Because
wow, great story. Love that.
So that was my first introduction to getting some confidence in drawing. And then I moved overseas and I lived in Libya in 8th grade and I had a wonderful art teacher there and she encouraged me, and lo and behold, I ended up drawing a ginormous frog on my wall and my mother walked in and said, oh, and yeah, so that kind of started my whole mural life, as you will. But I went on to architecture because I wanted to make sure that I could make it as an artist. It's very difficult to do that. And so I practiced architecture for many years before I came back full circle to being a full-time artist.
Oh, wow.
So that gives you a little bit of background.
Yeah, that's a great story. Well, you have 2 beautiful pieces in our forthcoming exhibition entitled Artist's Choice, and one of them is behind you. So why don't you start us with that one? Tell us about that one.
Yeah, so this is called In and Out, and wow, it is a journey. For me, this represents the ups and downs of life, the adventure, the kind of don't know what's around the bend. And for me, it's been like that most of my life. And I have a little car up here at the top. I don't know if you can see that, but he's hanging kind of over the cliff and kind of peering at, maybe he's come to that pinnacle or that peak, having been on this road, this journey. And there's all these ins and outs. This happens to be my first 3D piece.
Wow.
I have not had done that thus far. So that was something I wanted to branch out and do toward the end of 2019. So I finished it. It takes months to do this type of fiber art. It is not as easy as doing my drawings and painting work that I do. There's so much stitching involved in it with the needle. You're drawing with the needle. And I really love how it gives it an extra dimension to my work.
Well, it really does. You can even see that from a distance here as we're interviewing you. You can really see it looks 3D from here.
Yeah, so it does have all these little loops and ins and outs, and I stitched through it. This is hand painted.
Oh, wow.
I painted the background. So some of these fabrics you can actually buy online and use them to make your own designs.
Oh, wow.
So
Cool.
I've enjoyed doing that, making my own fabric to use in my work.
Okay, fascinating. And your second work that you have for us is entitled Healing Wings. Is that correct?
Healing Wings. So let me hold it up. All right.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful.
Now this one came out of a project that, gosh, it's gonna make, I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about it. For the city of Goodyear, a couple of years ago, whenever we could do art shows and things out in the community and in the park, they had asked me if I would like to set up a tent and do art projects with the community. And of course, I said yes because I do teach art to all ages, and I have many kids who come to my home studio throughout the week. And I thought, okay, I'm going to bring my art to the community, to the park. And it was over there near the Goodyear ballpark.
Mhm.
And I set up my tent and I drew a huge dove. Here's the dove down here. Yes.
Oh, yeah,
And
I
I,
can see.
I
Yeah.
asked everyone to do a feather. So each person that came to the tent, to the booth, I gave them a piece of paper and they drew a design onto the cutout of a feather that I had given
Mm.
them. And the canvas was ginormous. It was probably 8 by 4 feet with
Wow.
this bird on it, and they placed the feathers onto the canvas.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So then I come home long after that. I mean, there must have been 200 participants, and I had several of these large canvases in my garage. And I keep staring at them going, what am I going to do with these? You know, the city didn't want to store them or couldn't. They have enough things to take care of.
Mhm.
And eventually it came to me that I need to photograph this.
Mm.
I need to photograph the bird. It didn't look at all like what you're seeing now. It was a black background, a blue bird, and of course everybody's crazy designs on top of it. And there, you know, there were some that looked like Northwest Indian designs.
Mm.
I mean, we had some fantastic work. So I took a picture. I used Photoshop. I went in and changed all the colors so it would be more analogous. It would be more yellows and blue bleeding to green,
Mhm.
so that it would have more appeal, right? And I then took that photograph and I had it printed on silk. So this is silk.
Oh, wow.
And then I stitched through the whole thing. You can even see, I even superimposed a chain link fence photograph
Oh, my gosh.
into my Photoshop design. And I loved it because this thing was propped up during that community park program
Mhm.
against a fence. And I
Oh,
said,
I
oh,
see.
I want to put that
Yeah.
texture in the whole design.
Oh, yeah, you
So
can see that in the bottom there. You can see the fence.
yeah, can you see
Yeah.
that? Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
fun for me to stitch around that with my needle to really make it pop out.
Mhm.
And all the threads in the bird itself. Yeah, so I've enjoyed this departure almost from my drawing to the fiber. It's just an extension of what I do, and
Oh.
I really enjoyed it. It's been a
Well,
good
that
good
was
time.
beautiful also. Do you have a favorite medium? Do you prefer fiber over drawing or what's your favorite medium? Do you have one?
You know what? I think right now this is my favorite.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I've only been doing it for 6 years.
Oh.
I had to learn how to use a sewing machine. I didn't know
Oh.
how. My mother passed away 6 years ago and left me with a machine. And
Oh.
she used to own a quilt shop. And so I had access to a lot of fabric. And
Mhm.
I thought, well, I started to collage with it, just cut the pieces out and
Mhm.
paste them down. And then someone suggested, why don't you stitch through it? And I thought, okay.
Wow.
So I took a couple of lessons and learned how to uh, use that as a new drawing tool.
Well, that's awesome. So you learned a new how to work in a new art medium.
Hmm.
Wow,
Hmm.
that's very cool.
It's
Very
true. I mean, I still, you know, I do pastels and all kinds of things. They're sitting around my studio, but this could become a whole piece of fabric
hmm,
that I stitch through. It could become a whole new piece when I'm
mhm.
all done.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
just love that you can go the extra mile.
Well, that's very creative to put those two different kinds of mediums together like
Yeah.
that. That's really cool.
And it's a
Very cool.
challenge. I like a challenge.
Oh, yeah, I can see where that would be a challenge and, very time consuming to do, particularly the
Yeah.
fiber, you think?
Like I say, it's a journey.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, yeah.
The
Well,
needles break, the thread breaks.
yeah. You
There's
have a
all
lot
kinds
of
of
different
things that go
things.
wrong.
Yeah, you have a lot of things to contend with, that's for sure. Well, thank you for sharing your art with us, and we encourage our viewers to come to the Presidio. The exhibition opens January 29th. So come out and see it. It'll be hanging through, I think, the end of March. I don't know the exact date, but come out and hopefully as we more of us get vaccinated, we can get through this pandemic and get out a little more. And we encourage everybody to come to the Presidio and see our Artist Choice exhibition. And you can see Debra's works up close, because I think in this interview we get a pretty good idea of what they're like, but it's not quite the same as seeing it in person and up close. So especially your fiber art, that's just beautiful. So thank you, Deborah, for sharing your art with us. We really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.